11 years ago. So, he says like something like, if I don't get some sleep, I'll die faster. If I sleep, I will lose my chance at salvation. All right, one more writer poem. I don't know how many of you are aware of Frank Stanford's work, but I got sort of one step away from him, the mythical Frank Stanford of Fayetteville, Arkansas. I don't know what his girlfriend is. But, no, we had an interesting friendship right after my father had died in 1980. And she had been living in San Francisco, where I went to elementary school long before in the 60s. Just a lot of different things, and we've been corresponding. I went out there and spent a summer in Haight-Ashbury district. It's like the Haight-Ashbury ghost town district. And anyway, it's called History. I own a black shirt that once belonged to Frank Stanford. I'm not going to explain who he is. I will to anyone who would like to ask me later, but just his name. He's easy enough to discover now on the internet. I own a black shirt that once belonged to Frank Stanford. Rather, it was given into my care. I had this honor. It was presented to me in San Francisco one morning in June in 1980. 3 months after my father's death in New York. Later that same day, I went on a long walk in hopes of locating Douglas Elementary School, where I had attended 4th grade in 1961. Finally, I turned the corner, and there it was, my school. Oh, here's where I rip off the George Orwell. My school, however, the street on which it stood, and the neighborhood itself had grown so much smaller. It would have made more sense if they had gotten larger. So great was the deterioration in myself. That phrase is right out of Down and Out in comparison. As I climbed the last block, I practically tripped over the body of an enormous ivory owl. Its wings spread there on the sidewalk, perfectly intact, its eyes closed as though sleeping in flight. I should say, parenthetically, that I hold no one to blame if they refuse to believe this. I had a lot of trouble believing it myself. I was wearing Frank's shirt at the time. A poet should always be wearing some black, he once said, according to the friend who had given it to me. In return, I plucked one feather further. There are 3 worlds. You know them as the 3 words, present, future, past. And from here, it looks like I was standing for a minute at the age of 27, and all 3 of them at once. Anyway, that I stood there is a fact beyond dispute, even if it is only briefly recorded somewhere in the infinite pages of the history of unnoticed events. The shirt has grown too small for me. It is like the shirt of a good child. I keep it in a special drawer, folded formally, like a flag, and I have always done so in the many different places I have lived over the years. It helps me, taking it out. At this point, my opinion is that a poet should carry death's imminence with him at all times, the way a priest might, his black book of extremely small songs.